Welcome back to Combatants Will Be Dispatched. Anime review episode number 14. Yep, and this will be my last one for a while when I talk about this particular series. Well, there's a reason for that. And that's because I'm out of light novels. I'm on the most recent one released in Japan. Believe it or not, this came out a year ago in Japan, and it came out here just 2 months ago. Yes, we have Volume 6 of the series. Yes, this is the most recent volume released. And you're thinking, really? This is the most recent book released? Yep, this is the most recent one. This book is the start of the second story arc of the light novels. Do we have a new character pop in here? Excuse me. Yes, we do. We have this woman who looks kind of like Grimm, except she's described as sort of like a hero, where she's part of this organization that's similar to the Kazakaki Corporation, and they have pretty much they're revealing here some interesting things. This book has a lot of setup, like a new character introduced. We get some more interesting things about the planet where the Kingdom of Grace is. Yes, and the woman's name is, if I can find her here, because this book is practically her debut. Now, in case you're curious, in the cover, that is Viper in her Snake Woman attire. Yep. Yeah, that's who it is. Basically, Viper and two of her elite guard, they have pretty much joined the official cast as regular supporting characters. Yes. Viper, Helene, and Russell. Russell was kind of already part of the regular cast already, thanks to book 3. But, let's see here. Here we go. Yes. Now, in case you're curious though, the date this book was released was December 1st of last year, and the book was released here July something. Yes. This agent's name is Alahine Kruger. That's the name of the woman who makes her debut in this book. Now, in case you're curious, though, is there a picture of her? Yes. Yeah, she appears in the book. I'm just going to try to find her picture in here. Let's see here. Where are you? Nope. That's not it. There she is. Yeah, here's her new character here. Yeah, she has the same claim of hero. She, of course, like Lilith, mistake Russell for a girl because dresses like a girl, even though it's a guy. And she causes disturbances. Though Russell himself, basically, prior to this book, his primary job, aside from doing cleaning, because he just was made, his primary job was to provide water for the Kingdom of Grace. Well, that wasn't until the Kingdom Taurus fell, and pretty much the organization decided to simply raid their water crystals. And of course, they do explain that it sends people out to investigate what's going on with the Kingdom of Taurus, why they can't go in the city because, well, the kingdom has fallen. Turns out there's actually a robot blocking the place. Yes. And there's even this really interesting little side story in the book where you have Six, Alice, and Viper. Yes, these 3 people. I believe it's Viper. It's a Rose. It is... Yeah, it's Viper. Where they go out to this lake because they want to investigate this particular lake. Because it was actually investigated by, I believe, one of the combat agents was exploring this place. And there was something, thanks to a satellite that was left behind by Lilith, there's something in the bottom of this lake that needs to be looked at. Okay, so go out and look at it. And 6 is the one who goes swimming. Makes sense for him to do it because Alice is an android, and Viper, I don't know if she can swim or not, even though she's a demon. So he swims down in his underwear. By the way, it's very heavily hinted at in this book, and it's even hinted at in the last book, that possibly Viper is up an attraction to Six. And I should point out something about, before I continue here, the character Snow. Like, she was a primary character, like, heavily featured in the first two books. Book 3, she was still primary featured in that one. Book 4, she disappears halfway through the book. 5, she does practically nothing. Yes, it's almost like the writer of the series does not know what to do with the character Snow. And you're thinking, really? He has no idea with Snow. He doesn't. Should be. Yes. So, what's about this like? Apparently, it's an old robot. Yeah, some old robot from years prior. And yes, there's a fight at the end of the book with this agency, which is referred to as the Heroic Agency of Order. Yeah, there's a brief fight with them, and like at the end of the first book, there's a ceasefire. Yes, seriously, there is a ceasefire. Mm-hmm. Yes, there is in fact a ceasefire in the book, and that's basically how the book ends, with the ceasefire. Yes. Yeah. I kind of wish that Snow had a lot more to do with this book. A lot of the time in this book, she just was like constantly pointing out stuff, and she was very lazy. And though by the end of the book she just got back from knighthood that she was stripped from her in the previous book, I don't know if she got her allowance back per se because they don't mention it at all. Now, Helene, one of the Elite Four, she does appear in the book occasionally as a recurring character in this one book. Yeah, she appears occasionally, and she does reveal why she wears. She reveals in the last book why she wears very low clothing. Some guys hint at, oh yeah, because she's hot. They're like, no, because basically it's because I burn stuff quickly. That's the reason why I wear very low clothing. She's here, just heavily interacting with Viper. Still call her Lady Viper. And as for Princess Tillis, who is the ruler of the greatest kingdom, she doesn't do very much in the book. I mean, she does almost as much as Snow does in the book. She pops up occasionally, but Snow does kind of do stuff. She doesn't do any action bits. And here's a surprise for you. Grimm does practically nothing in this book. And you're like, really? Grimm does nothing in a book called Combatants Will Be Dispatched? Yes. Probably by far one of the most funniest characters of the whole series. And she does nothing. Rose kind of does something. She gets some stuff to do. Like at one point she's named officially to be Alice's bodyguard. And it's kind of heavily hinted that the squad that was set up in book 1 kind of been disbanded, despite the fact the group still hangs out in Hideout City. Excuse me, yes. And aside from the fact the ending of the book is pretty much the same exact ending we had at the end of book 1, it's still a good book. Great setup for this brand new story arc for the series. Who knows when the next book comes out, because who the heck freaking knows. I get this book at 9 out of 10. Excuse me. Yes. And as of right now, there is nothing left to review for Combatants Dispatched. Well, there is always the manga per se. Yes, that is indeed true. But all the manga is just an adaptation of the light novels. That is literally what the manga is. Mm-hmm. Yes. How many volumes are there? Well, there are 6. And that is pretty much as far as the relation to Japan. Now, Volume 3 volume 6, excuse me, which was the most recent volume released in Japan, they've only adapted about partway into, like, for like book 3, but by the most recent chapter of the book. Let's see if I can find it here. What could be like the most recent chapter? Let me look that up on here. Still looking. So apparently, there has only been like just 39 chapters. I know the manga is still being published. Let's see. The manga is still being published. Yes, there have been officially 7 volumes been released in Japan. 7's not released in there yet. No. And like each volume contains like about several chapters per se. Yes, 7 only goes to like chapter 35. Though it has not been released just yet per se. No, it hasn't. I know why that is. It's just that it's just basically how it is. But yes, that's pretty much it for this particular review. Yes. And for now, anyways, I'm going to be putting this series on hold until whenever the series comes back. Yes, seriously. Because there is literally nothing else to talk about when it comes to Combatants Dispatch. Because the anime, all reviewed, and I reviewed the 4 light novels that have not gotten adaptation just yet. And yes, the anime ended in Japan just a few months ago. I think the last episode was released here a while ago. I'd say about a month ago, I think it was released here. Yeah, it was released like a month ago. And that was pretty much it, because the anime itself only for 12 episodes. Now, based on how many more books left to adapt, there's still a good amount of material to adapt for another season. Excuse me. Could there be another season for the show? It's possible. There's nothing that says there can't be one. No, there isn't. Yeah, there's nothing that says there can't be, because you got plenty of material to go through. Yes. I would probably say season 2 would probably cover books 3 and 4, and 3 could cover books 5 and 6. And that's probably as far as I can go with it, because unless somehow in Japan they manage to release, unless somehow, and I should point out though, the writer of the series had already wrapped up Konosuba. Yeah, he had just wrapped it up. He mentioned in the afterword of this book that the book was released late was because he was just finishing up Konosuba. So now he's basically giving his full attention to the series. And here's something really weird, though. Like, at the end of the book it says, stay tuned for the anime. Despite the fact it was released here, already wrapped up in Japan. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, but it just basically when they finish translating it. Yep. So yeah, that's the particular review. Stay tuned for my next 3 straight comic corners I'm going to do. 2 physical ones. The first 2 are physical trades, and the third one's going to be digital, issues, and an actual trade. Okay? Next video. Bye.